Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Hello, 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 and welcome, my people. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. You know that sound? Yes, it's not the Wake and Passion Show. It is Shine Out Loud. Oh my God, I went way back with that because we're coming full circle because it's an end of a season as we enter a brand new decade for 2020. 2019 is almost done, and we couldn't wrap up the season without having an amazing guest on the show. Now, this woman is known as Author Stone, or some of you may know her as Angela Marshall. She is a motivational speaker, professional writer, columnist. She's a best-selling author, a creative consultant. She works with at-risk youth. She does so much. I could be here just doing the intro of her for 30 good minutes. But she's also an ex-NFL player's wife. And you know there are people who will give their mama's liver to actually become an NFL player's wife or so on and so forth, thanks to all the reality TV show. And she's come out of that lifestyle and with a driven purpose to tell a different story. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to let Author Stone, Angela Marshall, tell her own story. Hey, Angela, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? I am so thrilled and elated to be on the Shine Out Loud. And let me tell you why there's correlation and there's just the meshing of it, because for the past 2 years with my book, I have been autographing books and, just giving encouragement and words of inspiration to others by saying, shine bright, the world needs your light. So this is like confirmation. Yay. I am so ecstatic to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
You know what? You are so welcome. Minus my fidgeting and everything else, you are so welcome, because when we connected on LinkedIn, I was like, ooh, an NFL player's wife. I'm like, ooh, that must be glamorous and exciting. And then I looked and it's like, wait, this woman does so much more. And then we had that first conversation and I'm like, yeah, you were somebody I want to just take aside, draw together, get some little something to drink, and have you and I sit down. And I thought, what better way to do it and end my show this season with us doing camera, because people need to see. So let's jump in and get started. So what most people may not know about you, that when you were in high school, you started off with a little one. You were pregnant in high school and you were determined to finish your education, and you said, nope, I was going to go through it. How did you manage with being pregnant, going through high school, and why was this so important to you?
I will say this, it was extremely difficult and challenging, only because I was raising myself also. Now, even though I was living with my grandparents at that particular time, it still was very, very challenging. I mean, because I could not provide for myself, and here I have a little one, that I'm trying to provide for also. But with the help of my family and friends, I was able to go through it, able to go over it and, come out on top, which is really a great testimony, not just for myself, but so many before me and so many, that will circle also, that same block, so to speak. So it was in my spirit at that particular time to not give up, to not quit, because also, I have these little eyes, this mind that I'm forming and that I'm shaping. And of course, if his mom gives up, if his dad gives up, then, the cycle may have perpetuated.
Yes.
But I am glad to say that our son, and we also have a daughter as well, Auburn, and they are both very, very go-getters. They are not quitters at all because of, not just that, but definitely I think that seed was planted very, very early.
And I have to admire that, because yes, mistakes were made, it was early and all of those conversations, but you were determined. It was funny. I actually saw, I think it was an Instagram post of this woman, young girl. She's holding her baby. Apparently she had just delivered her baby a few hours earlier, and she was busy holding baby in one hand in the hospital, and she was swassing up because she had an exam the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know if I have the ability to do that. So I take my hat off to any woman who's like, you know what? I still have to go through this.
Yes.
So,
yes.
so let's talk about, how did your life change for you and your family when your other half was drafted into the NFL?
I will say this. It was like a story out of Cinderella, literally. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's true. It's true. Like, I literally went from a 2-bedroom townhome with no vehicle to a vehicle, a condo, more money than I had ever dreamed of or knew was possible. Yeah, possible for me, based on my humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. My modest beginnings. I would never have thought in a million years that that would be a part of my story. I will say that the NFL was, it was so remarkable. I'm sorry. It was so remarkable from the standpoint of the opportunities that it gave, the exposure that it gave, being able to meet people and connect with people that helped Arthur and myself, as well as our 2 children, along the way. It was a phenomenal experience. It also came with very, I guess, mirror moments for myself.
Right.
Even though I didn't see that then, I only started to see it many, many years after our divorce and all of that, the spiraling down and spiraling out. However, now when I look back over those years, it's like it was meant for me to go down that journey and experience those things so then I could help someone. Right. One of the things that I try to do as far as like with my motto, which is I'm, here to motivate, to celebrate, illuminate, but the most important is liberate. Because, you can motivate people, you can celebrate people, you can encourage and empower people, but if you're not liberated, it does not stick. And liberation to me is key. And I feel that NFL lifestyle, that did it for me, having to go back over, mentally different things that I just kind of was involved in, different issues, baggage, so to speak, mountains, hills, all of that.
Right.
It helped. Yeah. It all helped frame who you see before you now.
Awesome. Let's jump into this because I'm really curious. People, we look at all the reality TV shows and they show that lifestyle. But what were some of the things about the domestic life people don't really know when you're married to an NFL player?
Well, first of all, which I'm pretty sure quite a few know, that there's travel involved, but it's extensive travel. So, with that travel and the practices, that means a lot of the times you're left, and this is just my, my disclaimer. These are my feelings. That's why the book is The Story and Life of an NFL Wife, not Wives, before I get some more emails about, you don't speak for all wives. No, I don't. Me. I only speak for me. You wouldn't believe it, Lillian. You wouldn't believe it, sweetheart. But from my perspective, the NFL lifestyle at that particular time, it required him to be gone a lot, and I felt like a single mom. There were moments when our children, like pivotal moments, key moments that they missed. And a lot of people will say, but you had money, you had a lifestyle, you had materialistic things, or you could go do this and that. And for some, that may be fulfilling to them, but for us, it was very different.
Right.
It was very different, and I guess I will just say, based on how I was raised, the morals and the values that were instilled in me, yes, you need money to operate in this world, to, purchase certain things and to live a decent and a comfortable lifestyle. But that's not an answer for everything. Definitely not an answer for, just the quality of time or the peace or the joy that you can get through fostering and building, bonding like a true relationship, husband and wife, and then also father and children. Because my ex and our children are going through that right now. They're battling, with that whole disconnect from him not being there. And our children are 29 and 31. So that just kind of gives you a little snippet of the impact when they're not there to really, really, interact and just help the children along the way. So that's one of the key things, right? Is their time. They're gone, like so much. And then the other thing is that you are not, for the most part, you're not seen. I'm sorry, you're not heard, you're only seen. So from my standpoint, the children and I, we would be next to him. So like they knew he was married, knew that he had children, but whether or not we could speak, whether or not we could think, we could communicate, nobody really knew because everything was geared towards him. And then even when people would talk to us, my children and I, it would be, oh, that must be so cool. Your dad is this, or that must be so awesome. Your husband is this or that. It was never about to figure out, how are you today, Lily? And it was like, how is your husband? How is that lifestyle? How is that, gala, that event that you went to? Oh my God, it must be, amazing. And no one really knew that at the time that I was really suffering and battling through depression.
And I'm so glad you touched on that, because you mentioned in the book about everything you went through, from the depression, from the suicidal moments. You talked about that you had everything you could need financially taken care of, but yet you felt like you had nothing on the inside. So please share a bit more, because you pointed at it where people saw the kids, but you were just a conduit for your husband, and any question was directed. It was never about you. It was about him. So it almost became like you were not there. So how did you deal with that? What came up, and what kind of led to the spirals?
Well, I will say, when you don't define who you are and you're not true to yourself, really, it wasn't necessarily about the NFL or about him or about the overshadowing. I needed to truly be confidently who I was, who I wanted to be, who I was created to be at that particular point, in order for me to live my best life during that time. And I just did not. But again, I think it all had a lot to do with my childhood, the disconnect, feeling abandoned and rejected by my own biological mom, biological dad, how I was raised. And then it just kind of carried over. And then I had children young. And like I said, I never really got an opportunity to grow up and experience certain things myself. Right. So then, you thrust me into this lifestyle. And again, no complaints now. Don't nobody write me and be like, oh, you had it great. Like, don't you know people have it worse than you? Yes, I do. I absolutely know that. And I'm thankful for that experience. This is not, I don't do interviews, and I don't tell my story and my journey for pity or for shame or, to try to bash anybody. This is just, it's liberation for me. Right. It's liberation. But it just, the entire time I felt like an invisible woman. And I can only use the analogy that now that I'm telling my story, I'm sharing my story, I'm walking in my own, shoes, my own path. And then I know the light that's actually in me. I'm now invincible. And so I prepare better. I handle situations and issues better. Like, I'm actually, for the first time in my life, I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying every second, every moment. And it makes a difference. And it's not that I couldn't enjoy it then with the NFL lifestyle, because there were moments, people can bring up pictures and say, oh my God, you look so happy on that picture. She's lying, or she's distorting the truth, or, and it's been done. It's been done. And I'm like, let me say this. I was the magician of masks and layers. Right. But aren't we all, to a certain extent, Of course. So it's like someone will say, hey, how are you doing today? And inside, usually I'm going through something. I'm fine. I'm okay. So it was kind of like a carryover, I guess, of that. But, it got better with time. And I was determined. Again, everything has been really, for my children.
Right.
Definitely for my children. I was living for them and living through them and living, just to make a better day for them.
Right. You're touching on something that's actually very important, where people go, now, I don't know if you read the whole thing with Meghan Markle. Yeah. So, Duchess of Sussex, and she came out talking about what she's been going through with her depression after having her son, with the, basically being vilified by the British press. And there was a lot of people that turned around and go, well, you have money, you've married into the royal family, so we can't feel sorry for you. And I'm like, where does the fact that you have money preclude you from being human or having trauma, having tragedy, so there is this idea that money is supposed to shield you from the worst in life. And therefore, if you have money, you have no problem. And I think we need to separate that, because being financially stable and having other things happen to you is not mutually exclusive.
Absolutely. I agree 1000%, because you are just financially sound and stable. It does not mean you are emotionally, mentally, physically, even culturally, even socially stable. Those are all areas that you have to actively work at.
Exactly.
Now, with that being said, that's why I say in the book, we had every other problem excluding money. Money just was not a factor, because my ex-husband at the time, Arthur Marshall, he was following his dream and his passion, and he was paid very well for executing that dream and that passion very well. However, that absolutely did not exclude us from, marital problems, children problems, school, family, whatever else you want to say that was on our docket that we had to take care of. And I get it. I think sometimes people think that money is like this cure for everything. Just throw some money at it, or, be happy.
It's a panacea. You got money, so you're good.
Right. Oh. Or you're not living on the street, or, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. However, mentally, I felt like I was living check to check, minute by minute. I just didn't really know how to channel, I guess, or process a lot of things to just really help me to live my best life. Right. And that's the difference. And it takes some time. It takes time.
It does. And so, I appreciate that. And, we have this thing, again, this whole looking in kind of scenario where we're looking at it. Oh my God, the looks, you look perfect all the time. You're being captured for magazines, the dresses, the clothes, the body. And right there, you watch all this housewives of here, housewives of there, some of these women are not even married, but they're housewives of something. You're like, I don't know anymore. I try not to watch, because I value my brain at this point. I can't do those shows.
Right.
So my thing is, when you look at it, where you're looking at all those shows and where they put wives of players and things like that on these shows as well, there's this expectation that you have to have the weave down the back, you have to have the makeup 24/7, you have to look a certain way. And it looks glamorous. It feels like it's a glamorous existence, but that's what we see from the outside. What was it like from the inside, having to go through that lifestyle at such a young age? You're coming in and you're just thrust upon this. What was that like for you?
On the inside, I was dead. I was like a walking zombie. Literally, because I had not worked on myself. Remember, I was so young. So I think when you have young people that know who they are and they've defined who they are, and they have like that circle where they're brought up from little and they're taught the proper way, like mentally and emotionally and like being spiritually strong. Hey, my hat is off to them. I did not get that type of upbringing. And it's not a bash against my grandparents. I mean, I believe people do the best that they can with what they have.
Yes.
That's all they knew. So that's all I knew. I didn't make a turn, like being the first generation entrepreneur in my family. Everybody has had corporate jobs. Everybody has had, different paths that they've walked from time to time. I am literally the first generation entrepreneur.
Right.
But I took a chance. Like, there were people that I surrounded myself with. I had no clue that I could do what I'm doing and get paid to speak, to tell my story, to write books, to help people through my creative consultant side. I had no idea. I just knew that my uncles and aunts and cousins and whomever else, they, were either corporate or they worked in very, very good plants. And that was probably the path that I was going to go down to.
Right.
So I think when you don't know, you just, you can absolutely become a product of your environment.
I mean, this is so true. And and I keep pointing to reality TV, they're not the source of the problems, they just take advantage of the situation. But
Correct.
when you look at reality TV pushing a certain narrative right now, do you think there is a danger where young girls are now seeing themselves more of a commodity to be exchanged for this lifestyle?
Absolutely.
And
yes.
How can we stem the flow?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Again, though, I believe that it all comes back to your circle, your link, what's instilled in you. Because when you grow up a certain way, or when you grow up and that, I guess, extra and extravagant and those type values are instilled in you, 9 times out of 10, that's what you're going to think is, that's the right way for you. But the what people need to understand about reality TV shows is that a lot of it is scripted. It's
not reality.
It's not real. That's what's so crazy about it. Now you can tell the real moments because you can look and there are some like real, surprise moments from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But no, reality shows, and again, my disclaimer, it is just not for me. Mm-hmm. As far as being able to positively impact how I want to. Now, I think there are some shows out there that they try, all of them have, pretty good intention with the story plots and storylines to try to shed light. But I think where we miss the mark is a lot of times as far as like really walking and being in our truth. That's the problem right there. So many times we want to continue the mask, hide behind layers, brush the true problems along, under the rug, so to speak. And so our girls, our boys, our males, our females, they don't understand what it's like when you get into the real world, or, they don't understand how to process if someone is talking about them in a way. I mean, I have people talking about me a lot, but, just the way that I was brought up, their words are not greater than my words or my thoughts.
Right.
So, these are things that has to be cultivated into a child, into a preteen, into a teenager, so that then, they can watch those shows and understand that it's truly just entertainment and it's not real. It's not something that I want to model my life after. I tell people, do not model your life after I am not a role model. I can be a great mentor now because a lot of things I do know better and I'm doing better as I know better.
Right.
But from the standpoint of different things, different roads that I've gone down, please don't travel those roads. Please don't travel those roads.
And if they are going to travel those roads, they're going to do it from a perspective of how to do it better and how to actually navigate that better. So I think that's the point that you're trying to drive home. Now,
absolutely.
When did you realize that the relationship was no longer working and you needed to say, I cannot do this anymore? And knowing that it will mean the end of the lifestyle, it will mean so much changes. What made you go, that's it, we're done, we're through?
Lillian, I am just an open book. I am very truthful and transparent. And I will say that Arthur and I should not have been together in matrimony anyway.
Right.
It started out wrong. Okay. And I'm a firm believer how something starts out, unless you have two that truly, truly want to work at repair the right way, growing and evolving the right way, it's never going to work. And that was our demise. I believe, people can say whatever they want to say. I believe that he felt like it was cheaper to keep her because he signed his I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. We had 2 children by the time he entered the NFL. He was making $125,000 for that first contract, and this is like in 1992 now. Okay, 125 now, and people like, that's like welfare money, so to speak. But then in 1992, like I said, we were like ballers, you know. So from that standpoint, I think he was like, it's cheaper to keep her, and and I was a good girl, and he was a great guy. We just were not great together, put it that way. And for me, because so many people around our, local hometown was like, you had 2 children by him and your life is on hold. You only have high school education. You're not going to go any further. He's going to leave you behind. I think within my heart of hearts, I felt like I had something to prove. So when I say this, and I say it in the book, and I've said it in interviews, and I mean it, like it's not a lie. I honestly, one summer, the summer of 1993, we were at odds. We were in a really, really ugly custody battle. And then fast forward to November of 1993, and we got married. I don't know. My mind is a blur.
Wait. So in 1993, summer, you were in a custody battle for your children.
That's correct.
Winter, 1993.
November 1993.
You got married.
We got married. I had a ring made from Shane's. I don't know. I don't know when the shift happened. I promise. I don't.
How did that?
I was here, I was in Augusta, Georgia, had an apartment with the children. Like I said, going back and forth with him. And I don't know. All I know is in between that time, and in the meantime, we mended enough, we made up, and we were husband and wife November 8th, 1993, actually on my birthday.
Wow.
It's a blur. I mean, seriously, it is blocked out. I have no recollection. And I have not been, no concussions. Now, he's had concussions. But honestly, I don't know. I know you're flabbergasted. Everybody is when I tell that. But
you know what? Let's put a pin in it, because I'm going to have to come back to it, because I'm like thinking, okay, all right. So you were, and actually you talk about losing points of your memory. You talk about the fact that there are points of your life that you can't remember. Mm-hmm. How, and you say you've never had any kind of brain injury, and you've just blacked out certain points of your life.
I have no idea. I'm hoping that going through counseling will unlock to figure out why there's certain parts that I've chosen, or that I do that. I mean, I have no idea. I think some of it has to do with blocking out how I felt abandoned, rejected with my biological parents. I think something just started in there, and and then I'm an only child. I was an only child by them, and it just, being able to hide within myself, and mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't. I have no scientific. I have no theory. I have no idea. I can't explain it, Lillian. I don't know.
Okay. So, you know what, I'm just, it's a fascination. And like you say in your book, it's probably your way of self-protection. It was probably a way of you being able to compartmentalize everything going on so that you could just still function. And
move forward.
Yeah, selective amnesia. It happens, and I'm sure that there's medical reasons. Now, we talked about earlier at the very beginning that you got to a point that you were so depressed and you contemplated suicide. And you've been candid and open about that, and it was your daughter that saved you. What had taken place? What had happened just before that made you say, I was going to check out? And how did your daughter rescue you?
I felt useless. I felt I had no value. I felt no one would miss me. I felt like I was taking oxygen that I did not deserve, just taking up space pretty much. Wow. And I mean, it was just such a low point. I really felt that my children would be better off because at the time my ex, he was really the provider, wasn't me. So who would miss me and why? But yes, I would get these really, really bad migraines. And I had some really strong, I can't remember the particular prescription that I had at that particular time, but I had decided that day that I was going to just really check out. But as blessings would have it, and me having a purpose and a destiny on this life, on this earth would have it, my daughter was coming home from school and she burst into the room, and I put the pills behind me and she started singing this chant that we would always do. And of course, that immediately made me feel better because I lived, and I think at the time they were 4 and 6. So my son would have been 6, she would have been 4, I believe, somewhere around the age. But I lived for and through my children. I was never walking, breathing, sleeping, talking, functioning for myself. Mm. And that sounds crazy too. I know. I'm looking at your facial expression.
Actually, you know what? What you've just said. No, what you've just said is actually, this is so powerful because we have so many women who are still doing that now. Yes. They put the children before themselves.
Everybody
become mothers. They become invisible. So yes. I understand that story. I understand that story of I will live my life because I have this person, not I'm living my life with this person.
Right.
So no, that is a recognition of I've heard that story before.
And that's why one of my topics when I do speeches for different events and organizations, one of my topics is live vicariously through yourself. I am an advocate. I am adamant, and I am just very, very determined to drive that message home because it makes us feel empty and void when you're living through the eyes or you're living for someone else, where there's magazine, societal pressure, your husband, your children. Now, I'm not saying that, you don't make sacrifices or commitment or being dedicated or loyal to those individuals. Absolutely, 100%. But without me loving, respecting, really being dedicated to myself, I can't fully be dedicated to them.
Exactly.
I was talking to my mentees the other night, and I want to share something because I think in the whole scope of everything, and this was given to me for them, but I want to share it on your show. The word universe, one, verse. Think about verse. Verse is something that is completely made up, is unique, and is authentic. Yeah. But the chorus isn't. The chorus is repeated. And it's something that's spread abroad, like is everybody gets to sing it or say it. But that verse, you get to make up your own verse, your own song, your own story. Mm. So why live? Then that would be what, a multiverse? I'm just making words up. Why live like that? I mean, it's such an unfulfilling and just a Debbie Downer way to live. So now I'm really, really a pusher of that because of those reasons, because I know what it's like to just feel so invisible. I mean, when I'm walking around the track, in the store, going into Starbucks, wherever, the children, my grandson's school or whatever, I'm, hey, pretty girl, hey, handsome guy, hey, sir, how are you? I'm always making sure that I'm smiling or that I give somebody a touch because I know what it's like to feel like people don't see you and don't care. And now I'm not saying being an attention, grabber, or like, okay, well, that's somebody who just needs validation. No, sometimes you just never know what a person is going through. And the fact that you touch them on the shoulder or that you give them a smile or a little
that you wave, actually see them.
I see you. Absolutely. It's so important. It's so important.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, I'm not a parent. However, there is a thing about this idea to be a parent, you must sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of women who have sacrificed and done that sacrificial parenting, and it's done out of obligation and then resentment and all of that. So I think there needs to be another way to look at it. There has to be another way where you are full yourself, you're still nurturing you, which will allow you to nurture those tiny people that you've brought into the world in a whole different way. So parents, please, please do not, I repeat, do not come after me. All I'm saying is there has to be another way, because
that way is self-love. You have to give yourself self-love, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You cannot. It's impossible. It does not happen that way. And then you're right. We're beat down. We're broken down. We're physically, on the ledge, and mentally on the ledge. And these same little people that you're just, trying to give your last nothing to, really, because it's really not beneficial for them, and it's not beneficial for you, because they will become the greatest influence and impact that they're around in their life. And if that's you, if you're the one that's rearing, and you're disciplining, and you're instilling morals and values, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to go out and they're just going to expend all of their energy. I have this saying now. So many people know that I have this light, and I can honestly say that we pretty much know we're good people or not. I'm not boasting. I know I'm a good person, and I know that my light shines bright.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to plug into me, a lot. But now, guess what? I have a disconnect period. And I didn't have that before. I would just, okay, well, let me take this call. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me, do this for this one. I was really, really running myself down and running myself raggedy. And I had nothing. Like literally living for and living through everybody else. But I don't do that anymore. And I don't look at it as selfish. I look at it as selfless, and I look at it as self-love, self-care. And you have to do that. You really must do that for yourself. And it's not that you still can't, take little Johnny to football practice and help, little Penny with ballerina and whatever else, and be mom of the year. You can be mom of the decade. You can be wife of the decade, but you can't be those things if you're 6 feet under because you refuse to take care of yourself. Bam, drop the mic. Yes, ma'am.
Please say it again for the people at the back who are not listening.
Yes, you cannot be those things. You can't be mom of the year, dad. And let me put my dads in there too, because there are amazing men out there that not just, I don't want to seem just one gender, but you cannot be mom, dad of the year, friend of the year, associate of the year by, not doing what you need to do for yourself. Period. You have to take time for yourself. You have to make time for yourself. And then you have to, have other people respect that time too. Bottom line,
exactly.
because you have to respect their time. They're going to
Your time is vital. Your time is vital. And it's important. But the fact of the matter is, it becomes, when you set those boundaries, you become aware of what's important to you.
Absolutely.
So, we're talking about you, Angela, in terms of your life and where you've gone. And after the NFL chapter, you started with actually physically writing books. Now, in your first book, Lust, Lessons, and Love, which was a book about, it was poetry, spoken words, it was snippets of little stories, and it was, I had the opportunity of looking at it, and the poem Black and White,
yes,
was actually quite touching. And was this from your personal experience of being on the personal receiving end of colorism? Because
Absolutely.
Clearly you're very light. The assumption is you're biracial. There's a lot of assumptions in this.
Yes, that you are absolutely 100% correct. That book, Lust, Lessons, Love, and Life. So, of course, I have the autobiography, but if people purchase or they buy or they have, that insight to me for Lust, Lessons, Love, and Life, how I think, what I think, how I was, what I valued. So Black and White, yes, it was a point in my life where I was really, I guess, saddened by the disconnect from women, I guess, stereotyping me just because of my color, because of the texture of my hair, because of my eye color. And it just goes on and on. The list goes on. And I was really getting tired of being I guess, pegged for something that I had nothing to do with. Now, me being sympathetic to it, absolutely 100%. It happened, and I'm not discounting, and definitely not saying, oh, well, we shouldn't even think about it or talk about it. All I'm saying is that, I am in this thing to really be my sister's connection, not competition. And
Right.
to be able to walk into a room, and I'm not being boastful right now, but this is the truth. But to walk into a room, usually of African American women, it is like if there aren't others that are lighter than me or as light as me, I'm usually, the one that they turn to. They look up and down as if there's some sort of intimidation or threat, and there's not. To be honest, I'm probably the coolest one in the room, and the one that wants to make the most connections and really just be in service to everybody. I firmly believe in making an impact by my words, my work, and my wisdom. Right. Definitely keyword. You see, I put work in the middle because I don't think you can have one without the other, words and wisdom without work. You know, and that's growth and evolution. But yeah, that poem, Black or White, I mean, I was just really in a space where I had enough. And that's why I journaled a lot. And then one reason why I was able to just put my books out there and different essays and columns that I've written over the years is because, I wanted to heal, and I wanted others to be healed as well.
Okay. That's very, very powerful. And there's so many different of the poems in there that actually got my attention. So in the book, The Rags to Riches, the story and life of an ex-NFL wife, you talked about when you released this book, you got so much backlash. What was that about?
Well, I have been labeled a gold digger, GOLD, not GOAL, which I am that one. I've been labeled gold digger. I've been labeled, it's just been high maintenance, so many things along the way. And then, like I said at the beginning of the interview, where some of the wives were like, well, she doesn't speak for all the NFL wives. No, I don't, because the book is not the story life of NFL wives. It's wife. That's singular. That's me. So I really set out to tell my story, to be transparent about my struggles, about my trials, different things that I had endured, overcame, and then things that I'm still going through. And I think that's what sets me apart with a lot of people that write, that tell their story, because sometimes I think we can give the illusion that, okay, I've overcame it, I've come through it, and now, I'm like perfect. Not me. I still have a lot of stuff, a lot of demons, a lot of roads and different stuff for me to cross and to exercise, I guess, if you would. So from that standpoint, it just was a road that was very mean. People were very, nasty. I even had some people to say, hey, you're utilizing his once 15 minutes of fame as an NFL player to capitalize on yours now. And that is not my intent. Matter of fact, he has a little congratulations to me in the book. He's all in, because first of all, I can't tell anything bad about him or bash on him without pointing 3 fingers back at me, 4 fingers back at me or so, because, I was just as messed up and as, I guess, immature and scandalous and everything else, just not really knowing who I was and what I wanted at that time. So, the book, the intent for the book was really just to liberate people and to let them know, which we hear this cliche all the time where people like, money isn't everything. Money isn't everything. Well, it's not everything, but I wanted people to know from my perspective, because I've been asked this question so many times. What was that life like? Oh, I bet the lifestyle was like, you had this, you had that. But I wanted them to know what I did not show them at that particular time, because I felt like that was the most important.
Okay. So, and I can understand people going, well, you're just whinging. I can understand people will say that. But here, and I can also understand you saying, hand on heart, this is my story. End of the day, my story and my story alone. So I think, that's something that you have no control over. So Now we have your backstory. We have the journey that you've come on from the 14-year-old girl who was pregnant in high school to the woman who was living vicariously through her children. You were in this marriage that was not going the way you anticipated. So how did you cross all of that to become a motivational speaker? Where was the connection to that?
So I journaled quite a bit about my feelings, about my thoughts, because I just, it's not that I'm short on words when I'm talking or like I can't communicate with people. I just was not ready to come full circle with my truth at that time. So I would write a lot. So I just decided, it was like a conversation that I had with my mom, who was diagnosed with cervical cancer at the time. We had, on her deathbed side, we had a conversation. And the next year after she died, I just started, it was almost as if, and I say this because she lived her life full, like literally when she left me to be raised by my grandparents, my mom didn't miss a beat. She was living, doing what she wanted to do. So I honestly, Lillian, I think that as I sat bedside and spoke with her and held her hand, her energy, her aura, all of it just transferred into me, because it was like less than a year. And I was on a path to making, being an entrepreneur, making different decisions. I mean, like really scary decisions in my life that were really unheard of.
Right.
So after I started going back over my journals, and then I got in touch with the publisher, who was like, yes, your story needs to be told. This is like, this is phenomenal. What angle are we going to use? So I have a lot of people that even question, why do you even refer to yourself as the story and life of an ex-NFL wife? Well, for one, because I can. And, this is about my life. I welcome constructive criticism. However, this is about me. So I'm going to do it the best way that I feel will garner the most positive impact and influence. Right. So with that being said, there are a lot of people with the same story that I have. Maybe not the NFL part, but battling depression, anxiety, and so on and so forth. But when you put that little piece of story and life of an ex-NFL wife, for whatever reason, people who are power struck, celebrity struck, money struck, or whatever, it raises their antennas.
Yeah, people are like, "Ooh,
correct. What does she have to say?" So that's one of the reasons why I decided to put that on there, to have that little piece, that angle of story and life of an ex-NFL wife. Eventually, we're going to break from that. But for now, just to have that part of my story being the focal point, because it has to be, because it was pivotal. It's what made me who I am, So I decided, after talking, bedside with my mom, I was not living. I was merely a spectator in the stands. But for the better part of my years, I had, sat sideline. I sat in the stands watching my ex, then, eventually watching our children, because our children were little, athletic stars in their own right. And then I also have grandchildren. I'm sitting in the stands watching them now. So I think it was just inevitable for me to just really get, that energy and, I guess, power myself up and say, I'm getting ready to get off the bench and I'm getting ready to get in the game of life, which is another motto, another hashtag that I use to try to really, influence people and empower people, liberate people to live vicariously through themselves.
Awesome. Now, another one of your hashtag moments and hashtags and mantras is Unmasked, Unchained, and Untamed. What does this mean to you, to be unmasked, unchained, and untamed?
It means that I chart my own path now. I do my own styles, my own trends. I do what Angela feels is necessary for her to live her best and her blessed life. Granted, there are certain things that still, I'll look in a magazine or a TV or other things that may be going on around me, and I'll say, oh, I do like that. But I still take it and I make it my own now, as opposed to just, this year is black, next year is purple, the following year, kind of like in The Wiz. Remember, The Wiz said it's green.
Exactly.
The Wiz said it's red. I don't do that anymore. That's what being unmasked, unchained, and definitely untamed. I refuse to conform to societal pressures. It doesn't matter what they say to me, because again, I'm so pumped up and I'm so embedded with my words and my thoughts being greater than anybody else's. There is nothing that they can say. And even when I have people that, have known me from my past, and they'll say certain things or negative things, or they'll try to, really dig deep. You know how people do. They try to get your past to get a reaction out of you or make you less than. No, not me. They barking up the wrong tree, buddy. Because why? Because this tree has sprouted and I have so much fruit. Remember, they say you can tell a person by their fruit, right? I have so much fruit until it just does not matter what they say or how they try to make me and mold me into something that they want me to be, because that is an absolutely miserable life. Been there, done that. T-shirt, shot glass, airplane ticket, train ticket.
You got the whole shebang. You got everything.
We good. We good. So right now, I am just really, I try to exhort people. I say, when you define yourself to who you are, when you define yourself to who you are now, no one and nothing can confine you to who you were then. So it doesn't matter if you were intimidated, or you were, not your best, if you were negative, if you were whatever the case may be, and you decided today, which everything is a choice and it's a decision. I'm going to be the best that I absolutely aspire to be for me, and do it. No one can change my perception of what Angela Marshall, the story and life of an ex-NFL wife, me being a mother, me being a friend, me being an entrepreneur. No one can dim that light, because they didn't give it to me. They don't power me.
All right. So, from that moment on, you've gone on, like, you have your background in corporate America, you have your creative consultancy. One of the things is you're a member of many business networks that are specifically aimed for women. How has having a great network helped you grow your business?
It's been phenomenal. I have people, whether it's total strangers or even side by side, my investors and my business partners right here in the Augusta area, having that accountability. And then just having those links. That's another one of my sayings. I don't know if you've been privy to that one. I tell people, you have to check your circle, check your connections, make sure you have links, not kinks. So my links are phenomenal. I mean, I cannot talk enough about them. And I join different networking, different connection groups for that matter. Now, not everybody I'm finding in the group actually wants to connect. And that's okay, because, usually 2 out of every 5 will, try to be in service to you in some way. And then that trickles down to me too, because as I'm helped, as, someone is reaching back and helping me up the ladder, then I'm reaching back and I'm helping someone else up the ladder also. So it's all about growing my business. And that's one of the things that I love about a really mature and a really, I guess, a motivated mindset, liberated mindset, because whenever there's opportunity for me to just really, really be surrounded, or just be in a place where I'm speaking or not, it doesn't matter. I am going to, be in service just to have that energy, connected to me. So that's why networking and connecting is so important.
It is powerful. Now, like I said, you have this 20-year background in corporate America. You have the business. Now, we're talking about, you've just spoken about the power of mentoring from the circles that you belong in, but having people reach back and literally help you up. And do you think that there is still that lack of mentorship and guidance that is tripping up women of color on their journey to leadership, rather than the glass ceiling conversations? Because they always said, oh, it's a glass ceiling. And for some of us, we're like, we don't see the ceiling. We don't even see the first rung of the ladder. So if there's a ceiling, we don't know about it.
Right. And I think mostly because, so many people forget that in order for you to be successful and to be a leader, you got to be in service. You take that piece out, the being in service piece out, it just kills everything. So, excuse me. So there are a lot of people that don't believe in that pattern, or they don't believe in that format. Forget them. Go around them, go over, go under, go through them. And, find the ones that believe how you want to believe and are willing to help, wanting you to succeed just as much as, they want to succeed. One of the things that I do when I reach out to people, I always say, how can we connect and align our visions and our mission so that we can be our best selves, whatever that is. Even if you can't do anything for me, I'm sure I can do something for you. And what's it gonna hurt?
I like that idea. So definitely having the sponsorships, having the mentorship is powerful for us. Now, in your opinion, what are the top 5 skills women need to secure their bags as they move from employee to entrepreneur?
One, you got to be fearless.
Fearless?
You got to have no fear, none, zero. You need a very, very good support system.
Okay,
and
the support system.
And that sometimes who you start out with is not who you will, continue on with. Mm-hmm. So fearless support system. You must have focus.
Focus?
You gotta be focused. And a lot of times you need to have laser beam focus. Like it can't just be, I'll put it off and I'll get back to it tomorrow. It has to be every single second, minute, hour focus. So let's see. We did fearless.
Yes.
Circle. We did focus.
Yes.
I would say, okay. And you also have to be in service to others. Like you got to really be willing to volunteer, give of your time free. And I know it's like, well, first you say, no, your time is priceless. Don't do that. I do just as much community outreach and volunteering as I do paid or, working my side of the business. I truly do, because I really believe that giving back is a priority. It's not optional. And they always say that if you can do what you're doing without getting paid, that's the true purpose for you. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a good one. You need to be, you need to be in service, you need to be a giver. And then the final piece to bring it all together, let's see. Here's a great one. You need to be determined, because determination will definitely get you everything that you desire, especially when you're tired or you're weary or through the rejections and the no's and the, all the other stuff that comes along with entrepreneurship. You have to be determined. I have, and notice I didn't really say a whole lot in there about money, because I did start out with a little bit of a nest egg. But I will honestly say what I'm finding now is that more doors are opening for me without, expending a whole lot of revenue. It's just about, knowing when to speak up, when to speak out, and not being afraid, and it doesn't matter. Again, I get so many letters, so many emails, comments, and messages that are like, your platform it lacks substance, and you're vain, or you're shallow, or, what does an NFL wife know about XYZ? I get so many, Debbie Downer.
Wow.
Yes, constantly. But for me, that determination, which is that fifth one, to really just secure everything, put everything in perspective, it's like, I refuse to stop, period, no matter.
Okay. So looking at your journey so far, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
I would probably tell my 18-year-old self, you can make it. And look, I'm going to do one better. First time ever, it just came to me. I would tell my 81-year-old self, girl, you made it. So 18-year-old self, you can make it, you will make it. And 81-year-old self, I'm just going ahead because I'm fabulous 48. Girl, you made it.
I like that. I like that. So, Angela, I've loved having you, for us to have this discussion. And we've reached that point where we do our so loud moment of the week, where we talk about, where we get to celebrate either a person, a thing, it could even be ourselves, that you say, this is my so loud moment. This is the moment I choose to celebrate. And I say it's for the week, but it could be for the month, the year. It could be anything, where you get to celebrate the court, something that really sparks your light and you want to shine that light on. So what is your so loud moment?
My so loud moment is my grandchildren. Like, I cannot express enough how they are growing into these little people that are nothing like I was. They are confident, they are sure-footed, they are set in who they are, knowing what they believe. I mean, it's just totally different. It's like when I watch them, I get fed, I get filled, and I get fueled to persevere, to keep on.
Right.
In particular now, I love all of my grandchildren. I actually do have a favorite, but I love all of my grandchildren. I love all of my grandchildren. But one in particular, and he's 9, he is like, when I talk about Dion, he is the one that he, dispels bullies. And he's just such a phenomenal kid that is unafraid. He is unmasked, unchained, and untamed. And I love it. It just makes me want to do better, makes me want to be better. And, one of the things that they say is when you have the innocence and you have the I guess, tenacity of a child, you'll go farther because there's like no fear.
Yeah.
Truly, there's no fear. So, my shine out loud moment would just be my grandchildren, my grandboys. I just, I get so much from them that really help me in my day-to-day walk and helps me to understand my why, my what, my who, my when, and my where. I love those kids.
Oh, grandma's love is always so sweet. It's so strange. I watch my nephews with their grandparents, and I look at my parents and go,
that's not the same person. I love your face.
That's all I do is I just look at them like that. Oh, okay. Your grandchildren gets those, huh? Okay.
Oh my God, you sound just like my children right now. They say the same thing because my grandchildren call me Nunu, and they're like, "That's not how Nunu was when we were little," and that's absolutely correct. But yeah, shout out loud, it goes to my grandchildren. God, watching them, whether they're doing football, basketball, ballet, and then in school, their curriculum, just how excited they are about math, science, so just STEM programs, different things that they do and how they just, run it off. Guess what I learned in school today? I was not like that.
Wow. Yes, all right. So this is a celebration. Your so loud moment is aimed at your beautiful grandchildren, and we won't tell any of them that you have a favorite. So
Right.
Love it. So what are you currently reading, or what was the last book you read?
The last book I read was Faster, Smarter, Better. Ooh. And that's by Charles Duhigg. I highly recommend it because what it teaches is motivation, goal setting, how to stay focused, and how to really cultivate creative thinking so that you can be better. You'd be more proficient, more efficient, all of that. And it was a phenomenal book. Matter of fact, I'm reading it twice.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So that's faster,
smarter, faster, better.
Smarter, faster, better. I think I will add that to my list on my Audible so I can get it.
Yes, Charles Duhigg. Very, very, it's a phenomenal book. So I'm reading that. And then, of course, every now and then I do light reading. I have other friends that are authors, and they have amazing indie authors. They have amazing books. And from time to time, I circulate on my different social media outlets outlets to promote them as well. So, but that is the book that is kind of like, helping me to be my smarter, faster, better self.
We like it. We like it. So what are the top two, in your opinion, with all the work that you're doing, what are the top 2 tips women need to do to become more resilient? What do we have to do to actually hone our resilience skills?
One, I would say definitely pay attention to yourself, to the different things that you love, the different things that you want to indulge in, or you want to, you want as a part of your life. Pay close attention to those things and then give attention to those things. Don't be afraid, in any reserve. And like, you can still be a mother and be a phenomenal entrepreneur, or be a phenomenal writer, podcast show host, whatever, pastor, leader, educator. You can still do those things. So I would say really, hone in on that which makes you, whatever makes you happy, and do it. Don't be afraid. Do it. Like today, do it. And then number 2, let's see. Okay. I think that from the standpoint of being an entrepreneur now, that is, I would say whenever your mind tells you something and it connects with your heart, believe it. 100% believe it. So if it's telling you it's a good deal, it's a good deal. If it's telling you, move past it, you've given enough time and attention to it, enough focus to it, move past it, move through it, move over it. So those would be the 2 things, 2, advice pieces that I would give.
Okay. So
to be an entrepreneurship.
All right. So to be more resilient, we need to cultivate other things that keep us full and nurtured, and then also listen to your intuition. If something feels right, go ahead and do it. If it doesn't feel, don't do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And what drives you creatively?
Creativity, let's see. It's so many different things, from meditation to different books motivational, inspirational, documentary books, videos that I'm watching, and I'm definitely feeding into my brain at this time. And then I guess the most, the piece that puts it all together, creativity wise, would be, I am just a bag of mess. It's a beautiful mess, but it's still a mess. And so I am always trying to figure out how I can line myself up to be what I want to be where I want to be who I want to be. And so from that, it's just like, it's kind of like a challenge or a competition to myself now, because I was dormant for so long and I was inside myself for so long. So now it's just like, no. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to, make this better. I'm just going to stay the course and just be a hot mess in this area. I'm just being truthful and transparent. But yes, I think just from being such a mess on the inside and on the outside, and then how I'm able to just bring it all together and, be something that can influence someone else, that can impact positively, that is, somebody else. I like to label myself now as just this mental horticulturist, planting seeds of positivity. And I love it when people, send me messages and they're like, girl, when you call me, or you sent this, or you posted this, or you said this, or I heard you speak so-and-so, it just gave me life. And now, I took that seed and now, it took root. Now I got branches. Now I have leaves. Now I have fruit, So yeah, just being able to make this whole mess that you see before you, make it something that definitely wants to leave a legacy where people are liberated. Like, I'm just gonna, how I open, I'm gonna close. Like liberation is so important for me. And I want people to actually feel their life, not just live it in, an intimidated way, but to feel every single moment and every single minute, because there's like nothing there's I would not trade my space and my place for anything, even with all of my woes and worries and different concerns. I will say it's still is great. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. So Angela, what's next for you, and how can people connect with you?
Okay, so I also have a couple of programs that I am pushing out. One is the LEAD program, which is my youth program. So that's Listen, Education, Ambition, and Determination. That's for ages 6 to 17. I talk to them about, what it takes to be a great leader. We also do anti-bullying initiatives, which is awesome because, in this world of cyberbullying and bullying.
Yes.
That's a term for it. Is needed. And since I was bullied younger, at a younger age. And then also, I'll admit, I turned into a little bully too. I can give them a lot of insight and, help them over that hump. So being able to really have that as a give back for me is instrumental. So I'm going to be developing more programs like that on down the road. And I've talked about this before. I would love to have just a nonprofit community literacy center where people can go in and they can read books. They can, get any type of help that they need, literacy, because we all know that that's the foundation. That's like the core for learning. You have to be able to comprehend and to read and, articulate and communicate. So I want that to be, just like a stretch goal for me. I intend for 2020, I've already put it out there on different speaking circuits, to just make my journey, make the present so felt, meaning so many people are just not going to be motivated, be empowered, and be encouraged, but they are going to actually be freed. And the biggest person they need to be freed from? Themselves.
Yep.
Because it starts there. It really does. And I know how to do that because I'm doing it now. And it's successful for me, just being able to just live a life of of peace, of joy, of happiness, of love and light. So that's my goal. I am working on my 4th book. I'm proud to say. So that's in the works. Yes, that's in the works also. And it's going to be a phenomenal book, if I might add. It's going to be one of motivational, inspirational quotes and sayings that are all original. And, I know it's going to be just what people need to help them to the next phase in their life. My website, in other words, bystone.com, is one way you can get in touch with me. I'm on every social media platform outlet known to man, either Angela Marshall or The Story and Life of an Ex-NFL Wife, or you can Google, for all of those Googlers out there, you can Google Angela Marshall, Augusta, Georgia, or just Angela Marshall, and it will, it will pull up every link, even something I don't necessarily want you to see. But hey, it's a part of my
Google tells tales. That's all,
But it's a part of my story, and it's a part of my journey. And it's one, again, it's funny when interviewers say, "Is there any questions you don't want me to ask?" And I'm like, "Nope. You can ask whatever you want to. Just be ready for the answer because." I tend to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, because I find that when I tell my truth, other people's lies don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've heard it here, folks. Angela has shared her powerful story with us, from her beginnings to the chapter of the NFL to actually finding her place in the world and actually starting to share that and actually using her platform to influence and change the life of others so that they can be untamed, unmasked, and unchained. And she's doing that with her story, her message, to make sure that others are stepping up and living that life that they desire. So, Angela, I cannot thank you enough for being on the show with us tonight. It has been really, 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 really fun. And I couldn't find a more befitting way to end the season for the Shine Out Loud show. So thank you.
Save the best for last. Save the best for last. No, I'm only joking because I've seen your podcast show and I've seen your guests and they are all phenomenal. I am honored. When I say this, I mean, truly, I'm honored and elated to just, be able to sit across from you and have this conversation that's going to help others as well as helping ourselves. I learn from you, you learn from me, then the audience, the listeners, they learn from us, which is all win-win. So thank you for having me. And I look forward, not just for this interview, but I look forward for our connections and just things that we're going to do with, different programs and platforms and whatnot. Because that's
2020, here we come. 2020, here we come. So, so Angela, it's been a blast. I am so looking forward to what's next and the more to your story. So once again, I'm saying from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being on and looking forward for 2020.
Oh yeah.
So folks, you know what to do. You know where to find us. Drop us a DM on Insta, on our Shine Out Loud show, Instagram page, our Twitter page. You know where to find us. If you want to reach out to be on the show for next season, we'll love to hear from you. If you say, hey, I know someone great who you should interview, let us know. We'll love to get in touch with them. So as for me, Lillian and Bogo, it's good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are. And thank you for being part of the show. Goodbye.
You've been listening to the Shine Out Loud show. If you want to connect with us or let us know what you thought of today's show, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Shine Out Show.